Hey guys, Eric Smith here, and we are kicking off our DJ Campbell film review. This is going to be my last film review for the rookies. Anthony is going to have Max Llewellyn coming out here soon as well. But you guys have waited a while for this one, so I want to make sure I make it, worth that wait and we get into lots of details with DJ Campbell. Before we get into the film review portion of it, I want to kind of go through the notes that I picked up through the draft guides that I looked at. So that's Project Game Day's draft guide, that's Jack Brentnall's draft guide, and Simon Clancy's draft guide. So this first part, the intro, is going to be stuff that I pulled from their opinions, and then we're going to get into the film review. Have a lot of clips to look at, and then at the end, I'll kind of circle back and give my personal opinions of DJ Campbell. So off the top, he was drafted in the sixth round of the draft, number 197 overall. When you look at why the Dolphins targeted him, probably had a lot to do with his power profile. When you look at Caden Proctor being that top pick and maybe a slight shift in that direction, also needed some interior depth, and he brings some physicality that this team, could really use up front. When we look at his background, he was a five-star recruit, number 10 overall in 2022, a multi-sport athlete. He played football, basketball, did the shot put, and also threw the discus. And originally he was a defensive tackle before switching over to the offensive side of the ball. Was a 3-year starter at Texas, and he's also very durable, playing over 2,500 snaps during his time at Texas. And when you look at the notes from the time there, he was at, those 2,500 snaps came as a full time starter from 2023 to 2025. He was a Joe Moore Award finalist for the offensive line, third team All SEC, and he does have some penalty issues with 17 of them over the last two seasons. And he does show a lot of consistency in his pass blocking with an efficiency of between 97.7 and 97.9 over those 3 years. When you look at the high level traits to watch that are noted in those draft guides, it's power, it's heavy hands, it's anchor strength, it's physicality in the run game. You're going to see that he does have some lateral limitations. He's got some hand placement inconsistency and has some issues with inside counter issues. So again, those are from the draft guides. We're going to look at the film. We're going to see if that stuff, both good and bad, shows up. As we get into the film review portion here, we are going to talk about in the run game. We're going to look at him in on down blocks, duo, inside zone, outside zone, pin and pull, pulling to kick, pulling to lead, and then on the pass pro side, we're going to look at, when he doesn't have somebody to block and he's looking to find some work, we're going to look at some 1v1 reps. We're going to look at him pulling in pass protection. We're going to look at slide protection and how he does picking up twists. We're going to look at good reps and we're going to look at bad reps. And we're going to talk about how some of those strengths and weaknesses show up in his tape. And then as we get into the closing, right, we're going to talk about how that fits into what we expect Bobby Slowik's scheme to be in Miami. So let's get to the film portion. I'm going to share all my opinions there. You can start to form some of your own with the film that you're going to see, and then we'll come back at the end and talk some more. All right, as we get into the film review here, first thing we're going to look at are good down blocks, and I've decided we're going to break out the pen. We're going to make this a little bit of a educational video as well. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is DJ Campbell, who is always going to be your right guard. And let's flip that to the red marker. And so he is always going to be your right guard. And when he is down blocking here, it's going to be going towards the middle of the line. So in this alignment, his down block would take him to the nose, right? It would technically would take the center there, but no reason for the center to try to climb immediately because the ball is going right. This is a counter going over there. No reason for the center to try to get there. So instead, they are going to combo this, and DJ Campbell is going to climb to that linebacker, right? They're going to spill this nose over to the center. Campbell's going to climb there, and they're creating a wall right there. So that is what we're going to see from this play. And you can see that Campbell is going to do a good job, get a little bit of a gallop step in there, and then he's going to help the center climb to the next level. And right there, you can see the center doesn't do a great job holding the nose, but Campbell does enough to help him out before he climbs up to that linebacker. And you can see that Campbell is doing a good job on that down block. And now we're going to have another down block. But as you can see, there is no linebacker over in this area right now. But the motion is going to, right, they're bringing a guy in motion. And see how that changed the picture? And I like how Campbell kind of handles this, because in this picture, basically they would just end up double teaming the nose. But as this linebacker goes over, right, now we're back in that same down block picture that we had before, but we're going to have one more wrinkle here, that as the ball snapped, that nose slants away, and DJ Campbell does a good job of not chasing that. He lets the center take that, and then he just climbs to the next level, attaches to that linebacker, and in a perfect world, you'd like to see him sealing him, right? Get vertical here and seal him completely to this side, like on the outside of the hash marks. But he's doing a good job of getting attached here to where even if that guy's going to make the play, we're talking, 8-9 yards downfield that he would have to be before he can make the play. So another good block by Campbell there. All right, now this one is a little bit different alignment here. So Campbell is on this side of your screen now. And as a down block, right, this guy is inside of him. So that's going to be his assignment. The tackle is coming down as well. So instead of the center and the guard comboing, now it's going to be the guard and the tackle comboing. But there is no immediate linebacker here. So what we want to do here is to essentially double team this nose, let Campbell get around and seal that, and then let the tackle come off to form that wall. And you can see that that's exactly what we're going to get here. Campbell's nice and patient. There's nothing way down inside here for him to chase. And he doesn't have a great angle. He knows he's got this tackle coming to help him. So he is nice and patient, gets the help from the tackle, turns and seals the tackle, the defensive tackle, and then the offensive tackle gets vertical and catches that defensive end that's coming over from the other side. So another good job there of understanding alignments, leverage, and where he's getting his help from on that down block. Another different look here. So now there is no immediate threat here for Campbell, and this is no longer a nose. The center has him here. So Campbell is going to step inside and work vertical, and if he can get to Arvell Reese, then he would seal Arvell Reese to the inside. But if Reese goes over here, not going to chase him and be behind him. Instead, just going to climb and get the next player there. And that's what we're going to see on this rep. You can see that Campbell is getting vertical, right? Look at the way that he's departing out of that stance, that he is getting vertical, looking at Reese, but as soon as Reese, right, see the eyes are on Reese, as soon as Reese leaves, now he is getting perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, and now he is cutting off that number 26, 28, and doing a good job of opening up that lane for the running back to get through. So nice recognition there. Very technically sound, right? Not chasing after players that he shouldn't be with these down blocks. And now we're going to transition to some of the negative ones. So another different alignment here. So in this scenario, right, this entire right side of the line is blocking down. This center has to get all the way back to this 3 technique. He's going to get a little bit of help from the tackle, but there's no way that he can help Campbell on the front side. And then this offensive tackle, right, with Campbell's down block there's no way that you're really going to get help down there. So this tackle is going to do what Campbell was doing on that previous rep where he was getting vertical to try to catch that frontside backer and then sealing it off. So unlike pin and pull with down block, you really want to see them be able to generate some movement here. And you're going to see on this one that when Campbell has that one-on-one block, not really creating any movement there, and then lets him fight back over the top. Would like to see him be more explosive out of his stance there. This is something we see Austin Jackson doing a really great job with. But yeah, never gains any ground on that defensive tackle, right? Look at where his right foot is right now, right? Never leaves that hash mark the entire time, and then he's able to scrape over the top and get in on the play. So, not the worst play, right? This isn't Campbell just getting his ass handed to him, But at the same time, this would not be graded as a win for me because, again, on a down block, we need to see him be able to create some movement there. All right, our next negative rep, I am nitpicking here a little bit, and this is the very start of the season. This was the first game of the season, so we have Campbell here. And if everybody is down blocking, right, you're going to have this center again trying to get back to that 3 technique. You would have Campbell trying to get vertical to Sonny Styles here, and you would have the tackle there. Now, I like what they did, that instead of Campbell trying to climb to Sonny Styles right away, they're trying to double team combo this defensive tackle, create some vertical movement, maybe get him in the way of Sonny Styles. But what you're going to see here is that despite where the leverage ends up, that Campbell is still trying to leave for Sonny Styles. And in this case, what I would like to see, and what I feel like they did more often later in the season, is that as those two get vertical, right, I would prefer to see this tackle really committing to spill that defensive tackle over the top of Campbell, right? Get his head over to that side and allow the defensive or the offensive tackle to be the one that climbs to Sonny Styles, right? If you can get uh, Campbell around to the right side here and get the offensive tackle climbing up there, then you get your insert blocker, and then we're off to the races. But instead, Campbell continues to try to get up to Sonny Styles, doesn't get a piece of him at all, doesn't make the play, right, but still not getting to the assignment that we need to on that one. And then last one here, this one's pretty self-explanatory. Another one where the center needs to get over here to this. I mean, this is outside of a 3 technique, almost a 4-eye. So it's going to be DJ Campbell one-on-one with Caden Curry, who's down here as the nose tackle. And you can see on this one that Campbell just doesn't do a good job of securing that block, right? Kind of hopping into it. On this type of block, if that nose tackle is going to beat you, you want him to beat you essentially to the backfield, right? You want to be able to create a little bit of horizontal displacement. You want him to be chasing, kind of the way that the tackle has Arvell Reese here, right? As this tackle comes down on Arvell Reese could potentially continue going upfield there, but the running back's going to get through. Had Campbell been able to seal Caden Curry to the backside of this and made Curry go this way, the running back would have been gone. But Campbell does not seal Caden Curry, and Curry is able to scrape over the top and make the play there. So, again, those are down blocks. Had some good ones, had some bad ones. So, not a perfect player by any means, but does some stuff pretty well. Let's move on to the next thing. All right, next one we're going to talk about is duo, and we're going to look at the front side first, good and bad, and then we'll get to the back side. So the idea here with duo, right, if basically the entire offensive line is stepping to the left, right, and the ball is going to the right, then that's going to be duo to the right. And as an offensive lineman, your accountabilities here are your essentially your backside gap, right? Do you have an opportunity to double there? If not, do you have an opportunity to double on your front side gap? And then we're climbing. With this alignment, it's kind of tough to see, but there is a nose there. So it should be this center, right? Has nothing in his backside gap. So he should be front side to the nose, Campbell front side to the nose as well. And that's what we're going to get there. We see since it is a double, they're going to have a linebacker they're looking to climb to, which is going to be that number 18 who ends up blitzing. And you can see that between Campbell and the center, they do a good job on the nose and the linebacker. Campbell specifically doing a good job creating some movement there. And that movement is what allows the running back to pop through the hole. So good start to the duo blocks here. And Texas did not run a lot of duos. So that was the only good front side rep I had. I have 2 backside reps that need, or 2 front side bad reps that need improvement. So again, right, stepping away from the play. This is going to be duo to the right. So Campbell is working to this one technique. The center doesn't have anybody over here, so he should be comboing there. And then the linebacker they're going to be working to is number 23 over here, right? And then we're going to have there and there. But what we're going to see on this one is that the center probably doesn't give Campbell as much help as he could have, right? No reason to climb immediately to that linebacker that's still way out of the picture, essentially. But Campbell has got to do a better job on that combo block or solo block, right? Whatever you want to classify that as. Once he has that inside leverage here, right? Look at where his head is. This is what the running back is reading. The running back sees that leverage there, so he's running to that hole, right? Ideally, he's probably going to look to get between the down block of this tight end and the kick out of that tight end, right? That's where he really wants to go. So this tight end's really the main reason this play didn't go for more. But at the same time, had Campbell been able to maintain his leverage there, right? Let's bring it back a little bit. If we had leverage maintained there as the running back is getting forward, maybe we can get vertical and get a couple of yards there. So just a kind of, small thing there that on this solo duo block that once Campbell has that leverage, needs to be able to maintain it and finish that block. And now we're going to get duo to the right again. So it's going to be the combo here, again working to this backside linebacker, but we are going to see that Campbell kind of sells out too much to try to spill number 44 over, right? And 44 ends up slanting to the backside with the linebacker blitzing through there. Campbell is off balance because he does try to gallop in there and sell out too much and gets to the point that he's not able to recover and get to number 23. 23 ends up affecting the play. So just one there where he knows exactly what he's doing, right? But he is just committing a little too much to that first level defender, and as a result, cannot get to the second level defender and complete his block. Next, we are going to look at the backside of duo. So this is going to be duo to the left, so entire offensive line will be working to their right. As we can see here, center is working to number 44, nothing in Campbell's immediate right side gap, so he's going to help there. And their combo is going to go up to number 30. And what I like on this one is you can see that number 30 works his way up here. Right, he's creeping up. So now Campbell knows immediately there's a threat. And I like the way that he kind of turns here to be able to get back to number 30. He's not selling out, right? He's not just flying over there to get number 30. He's still helping his center to an extent, but he's putting himself into a good position that he can kind of catch on to number 30 and, kind of toss him out of the play there. So I like the technique that he used there and the awareness of that linebacker walking up. Now this one's almost going to look more like midline, but the running back is still taking the ball to the right side here, but the entire line is stepping this way. And nothing there, right? So Campbell should technically be looking to combo there, and then they're working up to this linebacker. But you can see when the motion happens, that Campbell does a really good job with his eyes, realizing that he can no longer help with that, with the combo in any way. And now he is climbing to that linebacker immediately. He does a good job. Not a devastating block there, but when a linebacker is flying through the lane like that, a lot of times it's good enough just to get a piece of him and use his momentum to wash him down. And then last one for the good. This isn't the best block that you're going to see, but this is, again, right, it's going to be duo to the left. So the entire line should be working to their right side. Nothing to Campbell's right side, so we're going to see the combo there up to this linebacker. And as you can see on this rep, right, doesn't do a great job of sealing him, right? In a perfect world, then this combo is going to spill number 17 over there, let the center climb and get to that block, right? And then we're running right through the middle of this. But because Campbell does a good job of straining through the end of the block, right? Even though he doesn't get the seal that they want, he's still running his feet. He is still creating some movement. and he is giving the running back something to work with. And the running back makes a good cut there, gets up to that corner, safety, whatever that is, number 3, and runs through it. Still a good run, but that doesn't happen if Campbell doesn't strain through that entire play, even though he doesn't get exactly what he's looking for. And then a couple of negative duo backside blocks. This first one, I believe, was a short yardage situation. Kind of lazy coming off the ball here, in my opinion. When we're running duo, we really want to try to create some movement. And you can see here that obviously the center getting knocked over to his side doesn't help a ton. But at the same time, right, you've got a defensive tackle walking up who isn't coming off the ball. Like, he's not firing off the ball immediately. This feels like an opportunity that in a short yardage situation that Campbell should be able to create some movement, should not get pushed over the legs of the center there. So just one of those examples where I would like to see him be a little more explosive at the start of the play. And then last one here, and I've looked at this one a few times, right? Because you're going to have the tackle eyes on this guy the entire time, right? And then our center is going to work this way up to that linebacker. And Campbell, I don't know whether he thinks he's going to the linebacker and lets the defensive tackle go, or just whiffs that bad and continues to the linebacker. But we can see here that we're going to end up with 2 linemen climbing to number 27, and number 11 gets a completely free release to the inside. And when you look at the rest of the line, right, watch their first step. Everybody is stepping to the backside, with number 11 going to the B gap there. That very much looks like it was DJ Campbell's guy, but feels like he made almost a pre-snap determination where he was going. Eyes are down, misses completely. And then, like I said, I don't know whether he's kind of trying to save something out of the play and attach to some defender, but feels very much like that should have been number 11 being his accountability. Next, I just have one clip for the front side of inside zone good reps. And they didn't run a lot of inside zone and duo at Texas. But what we're going to look at here, so inside zone duo, very similar. The big difference is that when we talked about duo, we talked about the line going one way and the back going the opposite. In inside zone, the back is going to go with the line. So if we're running inside zone, front side for DJ Campbell, it's going to be inside zone to the right. The entire line is going to be working to the right side. Now, one little wrinkle they had in here was that, typically inside zone would be tackles there, guards there, nothing for the center. Center is uncovered, so he would typically go to the backside here, but they're bringing this tight end over in an insert block to help out with the guard. So that now allows the center to go to the front side, and then they're working up to Sonny Styles there, right? So a little wrinkle there, but typically you'd see the center work to the backside there and up to Reese, but because they're bringing the tight end across, then we're going to see it execute a little different. And we see on this one that Campbell's doing a good job, right? Doesn't have that explosion off the ball again that we talked about earlier, but he fits in there nicely, lets that center get there and spill him over, and the center climbs and gets enough of Sonny Styles. But you can see that once that tackle is knocked off balance a little bit, that Campbell's doing a really good job of running his feet and creating movement there. Next one here, we get some motion that changes the picture. So now, right, as we look at the assignments for inside zone here, this tackle is uncovered, so now he is going to work back to the double team. DJ Campbell should be working front side to a combo up to number 21, right? So it's basically those two, guard tackle versus end linebacker. Solo, and these two are both going to work backside as well. But what we're going to see is that Campbell here steps to the right side, but I think he sees number 21 moving, knows he can't get too far outside and get back number 21. And I'm fine with his first couple steps here out towards number 18, right? Because you want to make sure you're helping that tackle. You don't want number 18 spiking inside, because the tackle's never going to be able to make that play, right? But once he knows that number 18 is gone, I need to see him really drive off that right foot and get to number 21. And instead, you see him be a little bit hesitant there, right? Kind of check, check, and then he needs to explode, and instead it's kind of check, check, wait, and then number 21 is able to get over the top and make the play there, right? And maybe it doesn't make a difference, but if we get Campbell there, right? If Campbell can get a piece of number 21, then maybe we get the running back through that lane there, and we're talking about a one-on-one scenario with the safety, right? So not an easy block, but it's a block that you want to be able to see a starting level NFL guard, right, an above average one. You want to see him be able to get there and help your running back some. So thought that one needed some improvement. And then the other one here, so inside zone and duo, you want to see vertical displacement. You want to see them moving those defensive tackles vertical and creating some space for the running back. And maybe Campbell expected to get a little more help from the center than what he did here. But when you're running inside zone and duo, you really need to see your guards be able to get off the ball and create some movement. And instead, Campbell's just kind of getting off the ball, fitting up. I think he expected a bit of a gallop, a push from the center there, didn't get anything. And then he just kind of turns into a very much a position blocker. Another scenario where the defensive tackle doesn't move at all, right? Look at where the defensive tackle starts versus where he ends. And all it is DJ Campbell is kind of wheeling around and getting into the way. And this could have been worse, right? Not the worst thing, but if we're talking about wanting to see Campbell project to an eventual NFL starter, and we feel like the inside zone and duo is going to be something that is more common in this offense, then I think you need to see an improvement over this, and you need to see a little more explosion off the snap of the ball. Now this one, so this is going to be inside zone to the left. So we're looking at the backside of inside zone, good reps. And what I like about this play in general, not just Campbell, is that you can see Sonny Styles walking up there and see that motion with his right hand. I'm pretty sure he's calling inside zone to the left the whole way. So the defense knows what's coming. And really, I mean, the left guard is the one that makes this play because of the movement that he gets in the center climbing up to Arvell Reese. But from the backside, you can be a little more of a position blocker. Would still like to see more explosion, but number 98 knows what the play is at this point, and Campbell does a good job of stepping to the play side, fitting in there, and doesn't give up a ton of room, right? Gives or stops the defense tackle enough that running back can, not necessarily a cutback, right? But he can plant and get vertical and almost gets the whole way through. So could be a little better, but I thought this was a solid job for a defense that knew the play was coming of DJ Campbell helping to open up that cutback lane to an extent. And then the other one that I have for the good for backside of inside zone, again, this is not a devastating block, right? But we're looking for a combo between guard center up to linebacker and balls going over here. So we really want to see Campbell be able to cut off that defender, but it's a tough block, right? We're looking at a 2-eye defensive tackle on that. So we're going to see that gets a little bit of help on the hip there from the center, but that Campbell does a good job of getting all the way around that defender. And like we talked about the down block earlier, right? If you're going to have a defender beat you, a lot of times you want him to beat you around the backside as opposed to coming over the top on the front side of it. So in this example, and I believe that's Caden McDonald there, DJ Campbell's doing a good job of getting all the way across and working his way around, right? Now we're giving the running back a very clear path of where he should be going. And we get, what is that, number 97? Nope. The other defensive tackle, 96 it looks like, who's able to shed that guard to make the play. And this could be better from Campbell, right? But if we get that block from the left guard, then we probably get the running back through that lane because of the block by DJ Campbell. And now this is kind of a similar situation where This is going to be backside of inside zone. So this is going to be going to the left side. So Campbell is trying to get to number 44 here. But he almost looks like he expects the right tackle to be stepping that way as well and picking that up. So possibly a miscommunication in that sense, but that does still go down as a negative rep because in the end, that probably should have been Campbell's guy. He probably should have just been able to latch onto that, wheel around, but instead doesn't get a very good block on him and then ends up working up to the second level where those guys are already handled essentially. So not the best job here by DJ Campbell. And here we're going to have inside zone to the right. Ball's going to come back here to the right. We're going to get this tight end in the backfield leading up to the linebacker, but you can see it's 5-on-5 across the board. So DJ Campbell is matched up against Kristen Miller here. And the important part here is that it doesn't matter where Campbell takes it, right? If Campbell gets to the inside, right, then we can run right through the A gap, right? I think that's where the running back initially thinks it's going based on the leverage of that defensive tackle, right? But he quickly realizes that the leverage is now to the B gap. And as he works over there, he ends up with Kristen Miller driving Campbell into the hole, right? So it doesn't matter that Kristen Miller crossed over there, but once he crosses over, now we need to be able to wash him down and to keep him to the inside. But Miller is able to extend, doesn't necessarily shed, but is able to push Campbell back into the hole. So another, 1v1 scenario where Campbell doesn't have the explosion to get it done. All right, so again, we're talking backside inside zone, so it's going to be inside zone to the left. So Campbell is uncovered, right? So nothing in his front side gap. So he should be helping with the combo there before working up to the linebacker. And this is partially a bad job by Campbell and also a good job by this defensive tackle. The way that he gets skinny through that lane really doesn't give a good surface for Campbell to help the offensive tackle. But we can't expect this offensive tackle to be able to step down and block this slanting defensive tackle with no help at all. And Campbell doesn't touch him at all, and it turns about the way you'd predict, right? The running back has to bounce that to the backside. And there's really no reason for Campbell to leave early to get to that linebacker, right? We're running inside zone to the left, and that linebacker is still almost a full body over. Would like to see Campbell commit to that combo a little more, climbing up to number 30. But you can see he doesn't give the tackle enough help, in my opinion, even though he gets to that second level defender, because we didn't take care of the first level defender. Then we end up with, the running back having to make a hero effort to make something out of that play. All right, we're back to week 1 here, Ohio State. So inside zone to the left, backside, uncovered to his play side. So he's going to be working to the backside here, tackle as well, combo up to Sonny Styles. And Campbell is not helped by his offensive tackle. This ball is going to the left to start. I'm not sure why this tackle is trying to spill the defensive tackle over. He's basically helping him drive Campbell back into the hole. But overall, right, Campbell still gets the negative grade here because whether it's just Caden McDonald or Caden McDonald and his right tackle, right, he's getting blown across that hash mark, basically all the way across the formation, 2 players, and that's why the running back has to cut that back. So that one goes down as a negative for DJ Campbell, even though, right, if we really talk about it, maybe you could make a case for why Campbell shouldn't receive all the blame on this one. All right, let's move on to outside zone. So we're going to look at the front side first. We're going to look at the good reps first. But when we talk about outside zone, right, we're typically seeing this running back taking an angle at the tight end, right? And it's another scenario where it doesn't matter where the offensive line takes the defenders, the running back is supposed to make them right. In the Dolphins offense under Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins were really sprinting off the line to their landmarks, right? It was covered, uncovered principles. So, right, tackle is covered there, guard is covered. Center is uncovered, so the center would probably still work play side and then work up to a second level defender, right? And then backside. Actually, the center may end up trying to work to the front side while that guard works up there. Doesn't matter, right? But what I wanted to kind of point out here is that Texas this year kind of went to more of a shuffle climb technique here. And I'm not sure how much I like it, but we still have to take that into consideration when we watch this evaluation of DJ Campbell. And we see here that not really running off the ball, right? But that shuffle puts him in a position to seal that. And good job here of sealing his covered defender, right? Keeps him on the hash mark. That running back is attacking the outside. His defender is never a factor in it. On this one, Campbell is covered, center is uncovered. They're going to work up to the linebacker. I think number 3 comes into the picture over here. But you can see that Campbell is stepping to the outside of that defender, getting in good position, waiting for the center to get there. And they do a good job executing this front side outside zone combo. Right? You can see that they hold this combo all the way. And we've seen some before where players are leaving early, right? But Campbell getting to that outside half of the defender, and then you get the center fitting up in there. They're creating vertical movement on there, right? And now instead of the center leaving, now Campbell can leave at the end and he can latch onto that linebacker, right? So if you're looking for a almost picture perfect outside zone center guard combo, I think this is probably as close as you're going to get to exactly what you want to see, with both of those defenders fitting up into that defensive tackle, carrying him into the linebacker, and then leaving at the last second. And now as we flip over into the negative front side reps, again, I want you to consider that Texas ran this a bit different than what Miami did. So it's not quite an apples to apples comparison. But when we're looking at assignment wise, that DJ Campbell is going to have number 5 here. And typically what you'd like to see, right? Head placement is a big thing in outside zone. So you want to see Campbell off the snap getting to this outside shoulder of the defensive tackle, right? As the defensive tackle goes inside, then you just kind of wheel around and seal him. If that tackle like if he overcommits to the outside, then you wash him out and then we look for the cutback. But on this one, we're not getting Campbell really running off the ball. Never gets his head across, right? And then I didn't feel like he did a great job. Like that defensive tackle was not overcommitting to the outside. He was turning to the inside. He was setting up to, hold his ground. That's exactly what he did. And he's able to make the play. So on this one, I don't know exactly how Texas wants him to run this, but for me, and based on what I've seen them doing in Miami and other NFL, like other Shanahan style schemes, I want to see him get off the ball, run to that outside of that defender, right? And if that defender wants to basically sprint to the sideline to not get sealed, then it opens up the cutback lane that we don't get with the way Campbell's attacking it here. Now, I got to give the defense a little bit of credit on this one, right? When we look at the alignments here, Campbell is covered, right? So number 11 is part of his responsibility. And we're probably going to get the center coming this way as well. We're going to get tackle on the end, and this combo is going to work towards number 27, right? That's pre-snap, probably what we're looking at. But what we're going to end up getting post-snap, we get number 11 slanting to the backside. That's not a problem. We know the center is coming over anyways, but what we get over here is that these two players basically change responsibilities because that linebacker goes off the edge. Now the combo needs to switch from number 27 to number 9, and they do an okay job of recognizing what's happening. Is just that Campbell is a little bit late to get there, right? Probably stays a little too square, right? No matter what, he's going to be working to the outside, whether it's to that number 27 or to the number 29. But because he stays square and he is late to open up the hips, number 9 is able to get through and make that play. And this is a tough block. Like I said, he's probably working to number 27 off the snap of the ball, thinking that's where he's going. But then we have the switch of assignments and ends up with DJ Campbell being a little bit late, not able to make that play. So very tough assignment, but this is still on DJ Campbell. And then last one here, and this is again where I think not running off the ball kind of gets them in trouble, right? This is basically a shuffle, and then we're climbing to the linebacker here. Assignment wise, we've got everything sorted out, but DJ Campbell cannot be getting pushed in the backfield, be getting pushed over his fellow offensive lineman by a linebacker. As a guard, you have to be able to get to that second level, and you've got to be able to manhandle those linebackers. If he does, then that probably creates an opportunity for this play to get something, even with number 73 ending up on the ground. But because DJ Campbell gets his lunch taken by a linebacker, this play ends up dead in the water. All right, now we're going to get backside of outside zone. So now the running back is aiming over here. So everything covered, uncovered is going to be going to your left. So DJ Campbell is covered to his front side. So he is going to try to get to number 44. Maybe he gets some help from that center, but DJ Campbell really needs to try to get his head across. If he can, then he's going to seal it. If not, then we're just going to wash him down and create a cutback lane. So again, these are good reps. So here you can see he doesn't get any help from the center, but DJ Campbell does a good job. And this is where like you can see the quickness show up sometimes, but it's not always there. But on this one, we're looking at a one technique defensive tackle that DJ Campbell is able to get across, get around, wheel it, and seal him on the backside. So good start to the backside of the outside zone reps here. Nothing special on this one, but you can see that he is uncovered to the play side. Kind of slow to go, which is good, right? And then climbs that next level, eyes on his assignment, that number 29 the entire time, and just gets into good position to seal him. So nothing special, but good rep there. And then not the best of reps on this one, but still gets the job done. So it's still a positive play. So again, on this one, he is covered to his front side, right? It's going to the left. That nose tackle would be covered for him because of the way that everybody's stepping. He's not able to get across the face of that nose tackle, which is fine. That nose tackle is moving to the right. He's playing it pretty well. But Campbell does a good job of still washing him down. You can see the way that cutback opens up, right? Number 73 is doing a good job of getting that right hand to the chest of number 0. Could be a little better, but good enough. But Campbell, right? We've been talking about displacement, and the nose helps out some, but he is starting on the hash mark here, right? And ends up past the middle of the field, right? So we're probably talking 10, 15 yards of movement there, and Campbell doing a good job of staying with that and basically helping him get there and understanding what they want him to do on that play. And then last one here for the good of the backside of outside zone, right? So we're getting the combo there. They're working up to Sonny Styles, who's over here communicating. And you're going to see both the center and DJ Campbell doing a good job here of staying on number 53 as long as they can, creating a little bit of vertical movement on that backside. Campbell is able to finish getting all the way around number 53 and sealing him. Would like to see them prevent him from getting quite as much movement, but in the end, that's enough, right? And the center does a good job of not leaving early, kind of helping as long as he can before he moves on to Sonny Styles there. So those are the backside of outside zone, the good reps there. And then while we do get some flashes of athleticism on the backside of outside zone, it's also where his limitations show up at times, right? So again, we're trying to cut off this guy, right? We want to get around and seal him. If we can't seal him, then we want to take him for a ride all the way out there. And we're going to go through these backside of outside zone clips fairly quickly. So on this one, you're going to see that Campbell's not able to get around, and that's fine, right? Doesn't need to get around and seal it. But if that one technique is going to surf the play, then just take him and wash him the whole way down. And that running back who is seeing it would be able to cut off of that. But because Campbell is still trying to seal that way too late into the play, he loses all power and is not able to execute that block successfully. On this one, we're going to get the guard tackle combo block, and this is kind of on both of them. They're blocking number 0, working up to number 30, and I don't know whether Campbell is trying to get up to number 30 or the tackle just commits too much, but the position they get into, neither of them can leave for number 30. So because Campbell is part of that combination block, and that's who we're talking about today, uh, this is going to go into the bad blocks for the backside of outside zone for DJ Campbell. And earlier I said that if you're going to get beat, you want to get beat to the backside of a play. You can't get beat as bad as DJ Campbell is here. He's in a great position. He's got the leverage. All he's got to do is get around to seal it and then mirror dodge and get a piece of number 26. And instead he gets nothing at all here. And 26 is able to get back into it and make the play. And now here you can see, right, that shuffle technique, again, I feel kind of puts him at a disadvantage versus just running off the ball. He's never able to get across number 26. And again, you don't have to, but if you don't get across, then you have to create a little bit of vertical displacement and give the running back the opportunity to cut back. And didn't feel like DJ Campbell did a great job of that on this one. And he understood what he's supposed to do, right? He's got that right hand out trying to get to the midline of that defensive tackle, but this is just one of those places that the lack of athleticism shows up for DJ Campbell, right? He knows exactly what he's supposed to do. He's probably 80% there, but I'm not sure that physically, if he has the ability to get to that, next 15 or 20% to really make that a successful block. Similar idea here, right? This is a tough block. We're asking him to get down to a 0 technique. If we can seal it, that's great, but you should be able to tell pretty early on that you're not going to be able to seal that and then wash him through, right? But because DJ Campbell tries to get to that seal block a little too long, right, now 44 is able to wash Campbell down and be in position. He didn't make the play, right? But had Campbell just decided earlier, right? If Campbell just decides here, then instead of trying to continue to get around and to seal that he is just going to continue to press him to the outside and maintains this leverage right here, right? Now we open up the cutback lane right there. We're getting vertical, and that running back is probably going the distance. But because Campbell tries to hang on to that seal too long, then the play ends up, getting a tackle for loss or no gain, whatever it was. And then kind of, I don't want to say rinse, repeat, but I think he does a better job on this one of understanding what he should be doing. I think he's trying to wash him across the field, but the lack of athleticism, the amount of effort that he has to commit just to stay with this defensive tackle, when that defensive tackle realizes what's happening and counters back over top, Campbell does not have the balance to be able to maintain that. And this is another one, right? I don't know how much better Campbell can be with where he is athletically. It's not the worst block. You can get by with this if this is the fifth starter on your offensive line. But if we're talking about him being anything more than an adequate starter that you're always looking to replace, this is the kind of stuff that we got to kind of see improve, that as he has that advantage, right? He has that defender off balance, needs to be able to continue that and finish it versus that defensive tackle being able to plant his foot and get back into the play. And then on this one, we're just going to get him over pursuing a little bit too much, right? So everybody's working to the right, or well, the offense is left, the right as you're looking at it. So it's basically going to be a combo here up to number 9, but we're going to see this nose tackle get over top. So the center is going to stay with him. So Campbell should be coming off to that number 9. but because Campbell spends too much time chasing number 60, the nose tackle, he's not able to peel off and get the linebacker at the end there. Right? Again, I don't want to keep harping on it, right? But a more athletic player may not feel that he needs to sell out that much and can redirect number 9 a little better. And then last one here for the negative backside of outside zone runs. Kind of the same stuff we've seen, right? Number 53 trying to either get around and seal him or wash him down. And 53 doesn't make the play, but he's, very much in the backfield, a factor. Uh, and this would be a tough block for Campbell to be able to get around and seal him because, again, it looks like Sonny Styles is sniffing this out right away. But if we're running off the ball versus shuffling, then maybe it gives Campbell a little bit of a better chance there. But that's gonna finish it up for the outside zone portion of this film review. Okay, so as we get into the pin and pull stuff, we're going to skip over the blocks where DJ Campbell is pinning the defender. And the reason for that is that they just didn't ask him to do it that often, and realized when I went through, I don't have any reps of him being good at it, and I only have one rep of him being bad at it. So I don't feel like that's a good enough sample size to really sit here and show that. But what I do want to show is DJ Campbell when he's pulling and he's kicking out a defender on the other side of the line here. So what we're going to see with these good reps, we're going to see Campbell getting across the line, and you can see that, he's doing a solid job there. I don't like the way that he comes almost to a complete stop before hitting that defender, but I like the way that he is pulling, right? Something we talked about before on here and the way that we coach it at even the high school level is you want to pull left, hit left, meaning that you want to pull and you want to, if you're pulling to your left, you want to initiate that contact with your left shoulder and you want to kick out the defender, right? Same idea here. Little better job of carrying that all the way through, not creating a ton of movement at the point of attack, but he's not letting that defensive end continue to squeeze. He's creating enough of an opening for that running back to get through. Another one here, again, not creating a ton of movement, but we talked about the down blocks earlier, and you see that on the left side of the line with that left tackle, that the down block is really where you want to create the movement. And movement on the kickout block is great, right? Never going to turn that down, but it's not critical. The thing is you want to stop that defender from being able to squeeze it inside. You see that defensive end turning and really launching into DJ Campbell, and DJ Campbell doing a good job of setting that base up and not getting knocked backwards with it. Again, same idea there. And we got a couple more here, kind of the same thing. Now this time, this is pin and pull, right? So they're going to the right side. The tackle tight end are the ones that are pinning to the inside, and DJ Campbell is pulling play side to the right, and he's doing a good job on Caden Curry here. Now he's pulling to the right, so you want to initiate that contact with the right shoulder and kind of, send that defender upfield and let the running back get underneath it. And that's what we have there. Going across the line of scrimmage. Now this one, right, I like how Campbell does a good job. This defensive end, it's Arvell Reese, so it's more of an edge, not a defensive end. But he does a good job of squeezing. This is what you want to do as an edge because you want to spill this to the outside. Maybe Campbell could have done a little better job with this, but Arvell Reese is so tight on there, it'd be tough to get inside and kick that out. So I felt like Campbell did a good job of, squaring him up and keeping him from being able to shed and get to the outside on that one. And then last one here against Ohio State again. And now you can see same idea, Arvell Reese again, but now DJ Campbell's doing a little better job of getting upfield, right? Getting perpendicular to the line and finding that leverage, right? Finding that contact point where even though Reese is squeezing it here, you can see Campbell turning up into the line, getting that left shoulder there, right? And see where that contact is. This is good position. Now the feet could probably be a little better to absorb that contact and create some explosion there. But in terms of pad level, in terms of head placement, this is where you want to be. And you can see that it's just enough to get that running back through. And now as we get into the negative side of it, like none of these are going to be god awful bad. Just got 3 of them here. And way more wrong than what DJ Campbell did here. But you can see that when he pulls, good position, right? But now needs to keep that defender to the outside. You can see that even though that defender doesn't make the play, if we are grading DJ Campbell by himself, that defender is still able to get to the inside of him on that kick out block. And that's not what you want to see. On this one, this edge squeezes way down, and I think Campbell loses him, right? And he's running onto the field late there. So, you know, Campbell needs to be able, he's peeking over there, right? We can see as we're looking at Campbell here that his eyes are looking over here to see what's going on, right? Everybody here is blocking down. Campbell is pulling out, and, happy path, perfect world would be to kick him out. But this end is going to continue to squeeze it down. And what you're going to see is that even though he doesn't make the play, he's sitting there on the hip of that offensive tackle, and he's in position to make the play, and Campbell loops around, right? So let's see what that looks like. See, there he is. Now as Campbell comes around, he really needs to be able to find that edge as he's pulling around and just kind of turn and log him. Instead, he continues around, ends up finding somebody else. That original edge, number 90, does get in there to make the play, but got to see Campbell be a little more aware of the situation there, because if this defensive end is doing a better job, right, his feet are a little more under control, he's going to make a tackle for loss there versus a tackle for a few yards. Whereas if DJ Campbell identifies that, and right here, he just turns and seals that edge player, right? Now you're getting the running back up to the next level with some smaller defenders who will, typically have a better chance in that scenario. And then last one here, Ohio State, Arvell Reese again. And there you can see just kind of off balance on contact. Head's in a good spot, but the feet are just kind of a mess there, which allows Reese to not necessarily knock Campbell back, but knock him off balance to where Arvell Reese is able to spill back inside there and get on the play. So just a few there with the pull and kick that Campbell can still, have improvement there from what we saw earlier. Okay, so we talked about pinning a little bit. We looked at pull kick. Now we're going to look at pull lead. Didn't have any bad reps for this, just had 2 good reps I wanted to look at. And this first one, he's going to be pulling to the right, getting out of space, finding his target, latching on, creating movement, right? Everything that you want right there, no issues at all. And then the other one that we have here, now he's going to be pulling around to the left side. And you can show that he shows some solid athleticism. He does pass up a block that maybe he could have assisted with on number 18. You don't necessarily expect that defender to spill over the top there. And probably a guy of Campbell's size and athleticism, that would be a tough adjustment to make late. But wanted to include this one just because it shows his ability to get out in space. And when we talk about Miami, they've run some pin and pull more recently. They've run crack toss in the past. So asking their linemen to get out in space and chase down some open field defenders is not completely foreign to Miami offensive linemen. I think it's something that Campbell may not be a strength of his, but not just a glaring weakness either. And now we're going to transition to the pass blocking side of it. First couple here are going to be DJ Campbell finding work. And a lot of times I wish that he would be a little more assertive with it. These are going to be 2 reps where he really is, right? So you can see here, right, this ends up being a draw. So it's not maybe not a draw, right, but it's a quarterback run, but it is a pass to start. And you can see that Campbell, as he's dropping into his set, right, this is a slide right protection. There's nothing at all to his right. Does a good job getting back to the inside and creating a lane for Arch to run through there for the touchdown. And the other one I had here, now it's going to be another slide right protection. And this time, there's nothing to his B gap where his assignment is, but this defensive end, I think that's Cassius Howell, right? Probably needs more help than what the center does out there. And DJ Campbell does a good job here of being in position that when Howell spins, that Campbell meets him right away. So this is, Campbell does a good job of finding work in general, doesn't always do a great job of, getting there violently, which is what he did on these 2 reps. Next set of clips we're going to look at here are 1v1 pass protection. We're going to start out with the good, then go to the bad. Going to kind of go through these good ones fairly quick because it's all going to be a lot of the same thing, right? He gets out of his stance quick, sets up pretty well, and moves pretty well for a guy of his size. Plays with decent power. We're going to see him get beat a little bit with that in the next set of clips, but for the most part, he does a good job of getting into his set, being in the right position, right? And shows an understanding of how to anchor down, especially in that secondary rush like he does there, right? But overall, I would say that as a pass protector, both his quickness and his strength are average, right? I'm not going to go overboard with it. We'll see some negative ones next, but there is plenty of good reps. It's not like he is getting beat every rep by any means at all. And then just have 2 for the bad side of it. So his first one against Michigan in the bowl game, you can see he sets up in decent position, but he's able to get his hands swiped away and his feet are late reacting. And because his feet are late reacting to that inside move, right now he's out of position. Now he's got to try to recover. And then when that defender goes essentially speed to power, Campbell doesn't have a great base and he's driven back towards Arch, and Arch ends up having to escape the pocket, partially due to DJ Campbell. This other one, the more that I look at it, the more I question whether or not I want to put this under the bad ones, because I kind of think that what we might be getting here, right, and we'll get the pen back up here, I think we're getting a 3/4 slide where we're matched up here, everybody else is sliding to the left, and then we're getting Jack Endries coming across, right? And Endries is probably kind of just a helper, helping with whatever he needs to. So in this, if I'm right here, then Campbell just knows he can't get beat here, right? He can't get beat to the inside. He's got Endries coming across that can help fill the inside, right? Whether it's this guy slanting inside or this guy slanting out, Endries is going to be there to help out with it. And that's what we kind of get here is that Campbell really steps down aggressively, gives him that outside, right? You can see that the way that he's square, he's not necessarily down blocking so much with that slide. He's almost inviting him to go to the outside, right? And then we get Endries coming around, and Endries is there also. So, at first look, if I'm just individually looking at DJ Campbell, right, I feel like he got a little too far inside here and let the defender get to the outside. But if he knows that under no circumstances can he get beat to the inside and that he's going to have help coming to the outside, then maybe this wouldn't go in the negative reps. But that's just, part of the game plan that we don't know just watching film after the fact. And then when we talk about pass protection, sometimes the guards are asked to pull. Don't have any of the good reps here because a lot of them are you kind of pull across, there's no traffic there, or somebody's more in a contain rush. But this is not one of his better traits. We're going to see him pulling to the right of your screen here. Right, again, Cassius Howell is out there. And while DJ Campbell, I think, is a good linear mover in space, when you have situations like this where you're asking him to come across the line and then reset his feet and be able to mirror, I think that's where some of the athletic limitations show up, right? So if you get a quicker pass rusher like a Cassius Howell out here, you're going to get DJ Campbell into space and it's not going to be to the offense's advantage. Kind of the same idea here. Now, he doesn't give up a sack here. This is a linebacker coming around the edge. DJ Campbell gets there, but I guess kind of gets a little too wide here. And again, while that defender doesn't make the play, if Campbell can get out there and mirror this defender better, then Arch has a nice pocket that he can continue to operate from instead of having to scramble a little bit and hit the outlet. And yes, it does work out, right? If you're grading the play overall, then you're going to be okay with the results, but we're not going to sit here and grade Campbell on the results of the play. I'm looking at what he is doing individually here, and I would like to see him settle down a little earlier, right? Maybe right here so that if that defender does try to go to the outside, you can run him around Arch, but we get 2-3 yards further outside, and now we're giving up that inside. And, while Campbell does stop the defender,
it allows enough pressure that Arch feels hurried to get out there and hit the check down. And then slide protection. So this is one of the easier things that guards are going to be asked to do in pass protection. This is going to be sliding to the right. And I just have two good reps that I want to look at here. And more than the execution, what I want to look at on these is the adjustments by Campbell, right? So when we are in a slide protection, right, a half man slides, basically everybody has gap over, right? So center has the A gap, guard has the B gap, and the tackle has the C gap. And then we're usually going to man it up on the far side here. So when we look at this now, you would think that DJ Campbell's going to have this edge out here, number 44, but number 44 doesn't really commit outside. Number 30 loops around. And Campbell does a good job of getting into his set, knowing he's got the center there to the inside, and then having good eyes to see number 30 coming around the edge. So I just like the way that he started on number 44, but understood that, that head up to inside gap is not where he needs to be, that he has that B gap where that tackle is being pulled outside, right? That tackle has to jump set out to number 33. Campbell knows that he still has that entire B gap to cover. And as number 30 loops around there, Campbell gets the help from the center and then peels off to get number 30. So thought that was a good one. And then kind of along the same lines here, that tackle has to get outside again, right? But DJ Campbell's going to be patient. He's not going to run out there. Lets the center get fitted in there. And right now that we know that the center has good leverage, we're widening the pocket. Now he can leave and he can help the tackle as well. So no individual assignment there for him, but doing a good job of helping the center as long as he needs to, and then getting out there to help the tackle. Now, obviously, other side didn't work out so well. Um, you know, to me, I think that's a quarterback one, actually, now that I'm looking at that, more quarterback or running back, right? Because like we just talked about, we're going to get further into the weeds that we should this late into the video, right? But these guys are all one gap over. We should have man on man there, and then man on man out there, which means that number 7 looping through is not an offensive line assignment. That's either a running back picking it up, which looks like what it probably should have been, or a quarterback, right? So as we watch that, let's see what happens here. Right, 94 goes way to the outside. I think that the guard should have stayed with this. Right, actually it wasn't 7 that came through; it was 25 way from the outside. Right, but I still think that, you know, if everybody stays to the outside here, right? If the guard stays out here with number 94, if the tackle stays out here with number 1, and this running back either adjusts or, right, this is where it'd be nice to see what the sideline view of this looks like. You know, probably more of an arch deal, right? We see somebody coming into the screen here late, right? See this receiver right there. So in my opinion, as soon as Arch saw this guy coming through, he should have been throwing that ball right to where that defender vacated and basically hitting this guy before he's getting to the screen here should have been where that was. So that's, just kind of my opinion there. Way off topic, right? We're not talking about DJ Campbell anymore. We're calling it not an offensive line sack. And now we're talking about what the quarterback should have done differently. So way off topic. Let's move on to the next one. And then final set of film that we're going to have is DJ Campbell picking up twists. We have 5 good reps we're going to look at, going to talk through them as we're going through here because they're all kind of the same thing. You can see somebody on the defense is twisting around, and you can see that Campbell is doing a good job of not chasing the guy that's lined up over him, but being patient, seeing what's happening in front of him, and doing a good job of picking up the next guy. This one here, right, could be better, but at the same time, gets enough of Arvell Reese that allows Arch to step up and, at least be able to extend the play. But this is kind of where the athleticism, the lack of athleticism can show up a little bit as well, right? If you get a more explosive athlete at guard, then maybe he can really spike to the inside and get more of Reese on that, but an adequate job there. This one here, just like the communication, right? We see the center here is going to communicate after talking to Arch. You're going to see Campbell communicating. So I think communication is always a big thing on the offensive line. But again, here you see Arvell Reese number 8 and then number 11 here are, running a stunt where Reese is going to the outside and 11's looping back to the inside. You know, a less experienced player might realize that Arvell Reese is one of the best edge players they have and chase him, opening up that inside. But Campbell does a good job of seamlessly passing that off to the tackle and then adjusting back inside. So just something I think that he shows up on tape multiple times doing well is picking up stunts in the pass game. And then just the one negative that I have for picking up stunts, and this is a tough one to pick up, but again, this is kind of an example of where that athleticism limitation shows up. He's working to the inside. He's got number, what was that, 90, 99 looping around to the outside. And as he's moving to the inside, he's not able to explode back to his right and widen that guy out, ends up letting him get into the quarterback's leg. So again, right, trying to give a full picture here that when we talk about picking up stunts and twists, that Campbell is pretty good at it, but not quite perfect. All right, so that's going to wrap up the film review. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys learned something. Feel free to ask questions about it. That's what this is all about. But kind of wanted to go back to some of the traits that we talked about at the top of the video. Again, I took those from the scouting reports. When we talk about high level traits to watch, power was one of them, right? And I think that there is some power with DJ Campbell. I think there's a lack of explosion. I think he does good anchoring. I think he's a solid player. But, we talk about moving a guy from point A to point B against his will. I think there's still some that's lacking there. Next one was heavy hands, and I don't know necessarily saw that. Like I think that he's got a heavy base, right? But I didn't see the heavy hands that would really create that explosion, that movement in the run game or jarring those pass rushers. So I don't know that I saw it. The anchor strength, again, it was adequate, right? It's not. I don't know. Patrick Paul, when he sets that anchor, he's not moving back another step. It's not there, right? But he does show a solid ability there. Uh, Physicality in the run game, I thought it was lacking, right? I think that he gets the right spot. I think that he does the right thing, but I don't see just chewing glass type aggressive run blocker the way that you would expect when you talk about physicality in the run game. Lateral limitations was listed there, and I think that was one that does show up, right? You see that in some of those plays, whether it's when he's pulling or whether he is pass blocking, that sometimes when he's moving side to side, that he can struggle to change that direction the other way. I think that he's good in a straight line, but changing direction is not one of his strengths. Hand placement inconsistency. Can't say that really stood out. I didn't have any issues with his hand placement from the clips that I had here. I think the bigger issue was the lower half, right? It felt like when his lower half got off balance, then that meant that he was reaching and grabbing and that type of deal. But I don't know about the hand placement inconsistency. And then the other one was inside counter moves. I think that goes back to the lateral limitations. We saw a little bit of that with the inside counter stuff, but I think that's, again, same idea that if you get him moving in one direction laterally and then ask him to counter to the inside, that's going to be somewhere that he struggles. When we talk about DJ Campbell as a prospect overall, I think that where he got drafted is probably right about where he should have been drafted. I don't see an average to above average starting caliber player with DJ Campbell, but I do see a player that is very experienced in the system. I don't think that putting him in would be a complete disaster. I think he's a player that you can get by in the short term, right? If you have a guard that is playing well, like let's say that Caden Proctor comes in, he's playing well for 5-6 weeks, gets dinged up, and you don't want to, go out and make a trade or a free agent signing, you can get by with DJ Campbell for a couple of weeks. But I think if you start extending it on beyond there, then I think that some of his weaknesses are really going to show up in a way that you don't want to see it. He has worked some at center during mini camps and OTAs. That would be an interesting one for me just because of how drastically different from Aaron Brewer that DJ Campbell is, right? He's got decent short area quickness, but he's not going to be able to do some of those things they ask Brewer to do. So I think that putting him in at center would really revamp how you're going to have to call the entire offense. But I mean, let's be realistic. You're probably going to have to do that regardless of what center you put in there, if anything would happen to Aaron Brewer. So I think that, DJ Campbell is going to be on the 53, right? But ideally, he's going to be your eighth or ninth offensive lineman. Hopefully, he shows that versatility that even if he's not the first option at center, right? Let's say that Aaron Brewer, obviously number one. Let's say that Andrew Meyer continues to develop and Meyer is number two. If something happens that Meyer has to be in the lineup and Campbell has shown the ability to play center, then that creates the internal depth that you want, that you don't have to go back out and sign somebody else to do it, right? So if you can get three deep with guys that can play center, doesn't have to be guys that can play center at a high level, then I think that you're in a pretty good place. So I don't think that my opinion of Campbell changed a whole lot through this whole process. If you go back to my evaluation when he was first drafted, I think I was pretty consistent with what I was saying there, and I hope that what I've been able to share here kind of backs that up. But this should be a player that you like as long as you are reasonable about his draft status and his expectations. But again, want you to temper the expectations. I don't, people talked about him possibly getting in there, competing for that right guard spot along with Jonah, along with Jamari Sawyer, and then throwing DJ Campbell in there. I don't think that he is part of that competition in any way. I think that Jonah very much has the inside leg there based on youth and upside. Jamari Sawyer is very clearly the next option. And then after that, I think there's a pretty significant drop off to what DJ Campbell is and what he can be. So that's just kind of my opinion of him. If you think of him differently, I would love to hear your explanation. If there was something you liked or did not like about this video, feel free to leave that in the comments. Again, this is my last video for the 2026 Dolphins Rookie Draft Series. Anthony is going to have the Max Llewellyn one, and then we'll probably get a little break from the film review series until we get to the actual games when I'm grading the offensive lineman again. But we'll try to get a couple of different ideas out there in addition to our Wednesday shows. So stick with us. Make sure to check out everything. I think we're doing something pretty special here. I think we have a good chance to grow this channel quite a bit over the upcoming season, and hope you guys want to stay tuned and see what we have coming up. Talk to you guys later.